Okay, here's another really important tip. So I'm going to try and do this in real good, tight close up. Basically, I think, because we're talking about, we haven't talked a lot about the quality of the movie, and really the quality of the movie is really the key to everything, right? So I thought I should talk a little bit about that. And I'd say if there's one thing that's like the most important thing for making a good quality movie, because I mean, I don't know, does anybody really know? But if you ask me, it's the unconscious and tapping into the unconscious, and that's both. Because remember, I've said sort of throughout this that it's like that the writing and the acting. So in the writing, the unconscious is like the sort of the deeper truth, the stuff that's really going on. All this facial forward stuff, this is all fake. I mean, that's sort of fake. The unconscious is where sort of the truth lives, and it's kind of hard to describe. It's kind of hard to get at, but I think that's why movies these days suck. I mean, they just suck so bad. It's because you got 4 or 5 writers working on a project, so it's all you got all these executives nervous about losing millions of dollars, so they try and consciously figure out a way with sort of mathematical formulas and by doing sequels and rehashes and reboots. It's just crap. I mean, it's so useless, the movies that are coming out of Hollywood. There's no truth at all. Like, I was raised in the movies of the 70s where it's like there was some real truth there, some great performances, some great writing, and that's just dead. It's gone. It's almost embarrassing to be a filmmaker now, and I'm trying to change that kind of with this movie and even with this making of thing, because being a filmmaker used to be a great thing, and it still is if you make great movies, but now you tell people you're a director, they're like, ugh, you're making some shitty sequel in Hollywood. So I'd say the key is like you got to do truthful stuff, and that's got to come from the unconscious. And I can't, like I say to actors too, it's the same thing. Good acting, and Stanislavski wrote this is why I subscribe to Stanislavski. Good acting comes from the eyes and the subconscious, and actually even with the Social Network and Fincher and the directing of that, the great performances in that. There's an article in the Hollywood Reporter about this. Are all in the eyes. People, the truth is coming through in the eyes because that's in your unconscious. Or like Stella Adler used to say to actors, there's 1,000 different ways to say I love you. You can say I love you, or oh, I love you, or I love you. There's 1,000 different ways to get the intonation of the voice, and the actor's problem is how do I get that one that's right? And you get that one that's right through the unconscious. If your unconscious is feeling properly, then that 1 in 1,000 delivery of I love you is going to come out right. It's hard to explain, but I would say, and that's why I hate doing this making of shit. It just makes everything conscious when you talk about it. It makes it conscious, and good art comes from the deep unconscious when you don't think. And actually, that's another good way of just summing up what I'm trying to say here, because I'm rambling all over the place, I know, but it's basically don't think. Just do stuff. Do truthful, good art, because, and that's why, with a $3,000 movie or a $30,000 movie, you can do just as good as a $30 million movie because there's no truth, in all the crap that Hollywood is turning out. And boy, we need some truth. I mean, this movie's about, suicide, and 2 people close to me committed suicide, and I wanted to say something about it. And I just kind of wrote something from my heart. And I don't know, what people will say about it. Some people will hate it, some people will love it. But the thing is, if you do it from the heart and from an unconscious spot, and if you try and be as truthful as you can, Woody Allen actually said this, if you're just as truthful as you can, then usually you'll connect with people. Like even on my first movie, that one over there in 1994, I don't know if you can see that, but, people generally didn't like it very much. But then again, there was like 20 or 30 people a year after that came out who just came up and hugged me and said, oh, I know what you're saying, I know what you're saying. And I kind of miss that feeling. I didn't really get that on my second and third features, and I'm trying to go back to that, of really tapping into a deeper truth. Because I'd rather have 10% of the audience come up and hug me, and then 90% of the audience hate me, because then at least I'm doing something right. Because my stuff is controversial. Most people just go, oh my God, what is he talking about? But it's truthful. So when you're truthful, everything falls into place.